You're one of the latest guests that we've had here to speak so eloquently about their personal relationship with him, but also with a basketball background. Don't talk basketball about him ever. Like the first conversation you have about him is who he was and how he treated, or a funny story here or that moving story there about humanity and his humanity and the humane nature that he approached others. But he was a brilliant basketball player, Jay. He was one of the best of all time, you know?
It was him and Kareem as the two best college basketball players of all time, and that remains so to this day. Bill Walton was 86-4 as a player at UCLA in 90 games, and he was 30-0, 30-0, 26-4. And his senior year in 1974, I mean, I remember this like it was yesterday. I was a little kid, but they lost a road trip at Oregon and Oregon State, and Sports Illustrated called it the lost weekend. That's how rare it was for them to lose. Digger Phelps ended that 88-game winning streak that year at Notre Dame, and then they lost to NC State in double overtime in the Final Four in Greensboro, North Carolina, which Bill Walton always used to say was the worst day of my life. And talked about so like it was some horrific failure that he only made it to the Final Four his last year. But I'll tell you, the only thing, Rich, that ever annoyed me about Bill, and this is going to sound odd, but I don't think the players of today that were covered by Bill, they knew him as a showman and a character, and they loved him. But I think his showmanship at times and the fact that he never did talk about himself, I'm not sure the players he covered had any idea that he could kick their ass twice every day and 3 times on Sunday, that how much better he was than any of them could ever hope to be. And I told him that. I go, you never talk about yourself. And that it really annoys me. These guys have no idea how good you were. And of course, he laughed and shrugged it off and started talking about the Grateful Dead.
Yeah, no, exactly right. So in the few minutes I have left with you, Jay Bilas here on the Rich Eisen Show. That photograph that my crew, my good guys in the control room put up there, just looking at this here, that photograph of Walton and Wooden, what do you think those guys are talking about today?
They might be talking about the one shot that Walton missed in the 73 title game when he went 21-22 and scored 44 points.
Nice.
Wooden used to rib him about how could you miss that one shot? I used to think you were a good player, that kind of thing. But I'm not sure that any player has revered his coach as much as Walton revered Wooden. And I know they butted heads over things at times, including how long Bill wanted to wear his hair and things like that. But the fact that those two remained close and until Wooden's passing. And Bill spoke so eloquently and reverently. He was always referencing Wooden and his teammates. I think that was true of his time in Portland, in Boston. It was never about Bill. And go back to it, Rich. Like, he made you feel like you were his best friend and you were the center of the universe. And he always left you with a smile. And I said this to somebody the other day. There are only 2 people in basketball that I've ever felt that way about, that just thinking about them brought a smile to your face. And the idea of seeing them really brought joy to you. And that's Bill Walton and Bill Raftery, the 2 Bills of basketball, the two kindest, most generous souls you've ever met in your life. And Walton, I mean, I'm getting better with this, but I mean, I was tearing up talking about it on Monday. On an appearance I had on SportsCenter, and I didn't mind it, but it hit me, how much he meant to me, not just as a colleague and friend over the last 20 years or so, but from when I was a kid, like I was a Bill Walton guy first and foremost, and to be able to know him. And then to have him exceed every expectation you could have of an idol. What a joy.
Yeah. So the kid who showed up on the White Shadow, that's who was revering Bill Walton, that kid back in the day?
Younger than that. I was probably 8 years old when he was at UCLA, and I had just started playing basketball. And everything he did, cover Sports Illustrated, got drafted, played when he played for the Clippers. I followed his career. For me, my two favorite players growing up, college players, were Bill Walton and David Myers, who passed away several years ago. Annie Myers Drysdale's older brother, and those were my two favorite players. And both of them were better people than they were players, and they were truly great players.
Catch the Rich Eisen Show every single day on the Roku channel, 12 to 3 Eastern, for free.